I used to hate the 12th Doctor in Doctor Who, and now he's my second favourite Doctor ever. Here's a spoiler-free explanation of what changed my mind. When the 12th Doctor first appeared on our screens, I was 14, and I'd grown up watching David Tennant and Matt Smith as the Doctor. The introduction of an old grumpy Doctor was a bit of a shock to me. I think part of my negative reaction to 12 was ageism, but it's also true that the 12th Doctor was quite mean to the point of being cruel in his first season, which made him hard to root for. He got nicer over time, and by his 10th season he'd evolved into a kind if gruff professor type who I quite enjoyed watching. But back then, I thought it was a shame that they hadn't nailed down that version of 12's character sooner. That all changed in 2022 when I did a full rewatch of New Who with my friends. See, when 12's run first came out, I had to wait a while in between seasons, which made it harder for me to remember where the story left off. Watching the show all the way through in a short period of time was an entirely different experience. I realized that the 12th Doctor's shifting personality wasn't a result of inconsistent writing, but of a really brilliant character arc. The 11th Doctor may have been fun and cheerful most of the time, but a lot of that was to cover up his trauma and guilt over the Time War. 11 finally faces his actions in the Time War in his second to last episode, The Day of the Doctor, and while he manages to undo the atrocity he committed, he still has to live with the knowledge that a version of him did do that. 12 isn't young, fun, and happy because the Doctor was never really young, fun, and happy. He was just pretending. Now that the Doctor has his mask off, he has to face who he's always honestly been, and he doesn't like what he sees. In 12's first season, he's obsessed with the question of whether or not he's a good man. He faces two very uncomfortable truths. First, that he's not a good man, and second, that his desire to be a good man is largely driven by ego. But he's willing to learn from his mistakes, and in the Series 8 finale, 12 declares that he's not a good man or a bad man, he's just an idiot in a box, passing through, helping out, and learning. 12's next two seasons see him trying to help save the day from this more humble position, and by the end of Series 10, he's probably the most morally good the Doctor has ever been. He describes his new ethos by saying that he's not fighting to beat someone, or even because he thinks his plan to save the day will work, but because it's simply the right and decent thing to do. Now he's purely driven by his compassion, not his ego. This willingness to reflect and grow and change is what makes me love the 12th Doctor so much. So do you like the 12th Doctor? Do you hate the 12th Doctor? Are you thinking of giving the 12th Doctor another try? Let me know in the comments. And if you liked this video and want to keep up with all my Doctor Who commentary, be sure to check out my free monthly newsletter on Patreon, which you can find in my profile.